once you go black,
you never go back.
I took this man from his home country and brought him here.
She's from the other side of the world.
They looked at him and they were like, oh, you're a foreigner. Sometimes I feel like I might turn into Karen.
We're also from two totally different countries.
Love knows no color or nationality, as these couples proved by finding love despite their different origins. For the men, leaving home meant facing both sacrifices and challenges.
I'm originally from Netherlands. Lived there for about, 31 years. And decided like 2 years ago to move to South Africa to be with the love of my life.
Stop it, I like it. Well, I'm from Port Elizabeth.
Being from the Netherlands, I think it's very open and your parents really don't force you in any kind of way to take a certain route whatsoever. So with regards to that, it's, well, at least for me, it's very, very, very open.
This is like the original Fortreka. I got myself original boer. I was invited in Nigeria to go and perform. And then my friend, so she invited me to a party. And as we are seated, we see this interracial couple walking in. It's him walking with another girl. And then I found myself sitting next to him.
I was in Nigeria for business. Because of, they want to take care of you. He's like, hey, don't worry, I take care of the girl for you. So I tell him like, hey, my friend, it's not that kind of a party, right?
We have been together ever since.
Yeah. We started off with long distance. After that, it was like when I left Nigeria, I told her like, I will see you in Cape Town. So obviously that happened within, I think, a month and a half from when we met. And then we did long distance for 3 months. And then for 3 months, I came to SA just to check it out. Okay, how is life here? Thank God with the company that we run, it comes with a lot of freedom. I'm able to do my job basically anywhere in the world. So yeah, I just wanted to check that out.
I think also, ladies, don't give up the cookie until you see the commitment, okay? I don't know, had I given him the cookie in Nigeria, would he have been in South Africa? I have never dated a white man before. This was like literally the first white man I had ever dated. Remember just writing down everything I don't want in a relationship and writing everything that I would ever want. And in those notes, I don't remember mentioning the color of his skin. But other than that, yeah.
So wait, are you saying could have been better?
No, baby. Like, I mean,
alrighty.
you know what? Like now I'm seeing my mixed race babies. They look so cute.
I've never dated outside of my race as well. It just never happened. I never had the opportunity to do so.
But once you go black,
you never go back.
I mean, look, this man relocated his entire life. Okay, like respect that. And there's nothing more attractive than that. Well, apart from his height and his gorgeous blue eyes and his dimple, I think his heart, like, he is a pure gem, and my daughter absolutely loves him.
I think for me, the main thing, we say that to each other as well. It wasn't like immediately like this, because at first there's just so much things running through your mind, right? I mean, I was in a situation at the time where I just started a business. So my mind was completely somewhere else. And now you're thinking like, you've met someone you clearly like, but how is this going to play out? Because first of all, it's not, I'm from the Netherlands. She's not from Germany or Belgium, a neighboring country. No, she's from the other side of the world. 12 hours in a flight is a massive distance. So obviously your mind is just playing or working over hours to try and find a solution with regards to that, which thankfully, we found at the end of the day. So yeah, at some point for me, it was the distance. I knew like, okay, this distance thing is eating you up from the inside. So that tells me everything I need to know. Simple as that.
This long distance is cute. I think the biggest culture shock for me in the early stages of our relationship, it was the amounts of heads that turn when they see us. It was a lot when people saw us together. So sometimes you'd see that some people are proud of him for having like, this thick black woman. And so you'd see like, like some men would be, saluting him like, yo, but people from his side of the world, you could almost see stares of disapproval. I remember how uncomfortable I was in Stellenbosch. I think when it comes to that side, I mean, also with him, there were some of his friends who were like, a black woman. You know, okay, fine, if you're into black women so much, why don't you find one who stays here in the Netherlands or whatever? So for them, it was, oh, now you're into black women, you know, so it was a thing of color, and some had questions, they had doubts, and they were obviously curious.
Curious, I think that's the right answer.
My family has been nothing but supportive of us. But I mean, on social media, you get like angry people who don't even know you, and they'll just be cussing and swearing at you because you're with a white man. But I mean, I could not be bothered with that. I mean, it's hurtful, yes, when you get such messages. But then again, you remember, this is probably a loser.
No, I haven't received any backlash necessarily. You know, yeah, maybe questions, but curiosity, but yeah, other than that also, you know, like very supportive friends, family, colleagues. That's extremely nice.
And people are really curious about our sex life. I don't know why.
Is that so? Or maybe your friends?
No, remember the lady at the airport as
well? Yeah, I'm sure.
They just want to know, like, they'll be asking me, how is it, like, is it true white men like having sex a lot?
I know what lobola is.
Of course he knows what lobola is. You think you'll go to my family in the Eastern Cape and they don't have that talk?
It's part of the tradition, obviously. And I think it's a good way of showing a family that, you know, you also, besides marrying her off, it's also showing respect to the culture and the tradition of that culture. Whether you know, I mean, a bride price and paying for a bride is something that I don't, it doesn't happen a lot in the Netherlands anymore, but you know, it's just a way of showing respect. And it's a cool thing, I think, you know, just walk into a village and, you know, have like a couple of cows or whatever walking behind you, rather than the money thing. You get me?
Can you see his vision? He wants actual cows.
I'll bring the cows. I'll bring the cows.
Have we ever sat down and felt like, oh, this is us, we're an interracial couple, whatever? Nah.
No. Of course, for the outside world, we are an interracial couple, but when there's two people just clicking, is it a part of the conversation? Not necessarily. No.
That's our everyday reality. We live in a world where color is an actual thing.
What we would say to people that are against,
I'd say footsake.
First of all, I think they themselves have to go to the root of thinking like that. Why are you so strongly against two people from different races being in love with each other? Why would you, you know, not be able to accept that or process that? And then just, I don't know, like study on that or try and understand that. I mean, at the end of the day, we live in 2024. We evolve, we develop. The world can be a very scary place if we continue to have more people with that mindset and all of that. I wouldn't want that for anyone, in all honesty.
No one should endure discrimination, but Jordi knew he had to act fast for love. For Bernat, it was his job opportunity that led him to meet the love of his life.
We met in 2015, February, on Valentine's Day. I was staying in Braamfontein and I was studying in Wits University. And I saw him in a bar. Yeah, and I shot my shot and here we are.
I think I also approached, because by that time I was not so shy. I spent time in South Africa already 1 year, so I was a bit used to... It was the crisis, so in Spain there were no jobs. So then they offered me an option to come to South Africa. I think I fell in love from the first time.
Really? Aww.
Yeah.
For me, it was more, he was like a male version of myself. And now I meet this guy, he's really, really nice. I want to be with him, but maybe it's not the right time. Maybe in 2 years or in a year, or we decided that, okay, let's just break up. And I realized that he realized that, hey, I really want to be, I'm miserable. I want to be with this person. And when we got back together, it was
perfect, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a day that I would question that, does he love me? He shows his love and affection, even to the kids.
He panics. Sometimes it's like, hey, just relax and breathe and it's okay, you know, we've got this.
You've got more highs and lows than the men usually. What I like about her is that she's very chill, very settled always. Sometimes she might go suddenly, you know, these days, and she goes, but then she comes back. The next day she's like, yeah, Beñat, sorry. I think that's the best for a family life or couple life. What I like less, all these romantic things that she requests me. My parents, they didn't even have a wedding. They never give flowers to each other. They never did anything, nothing romantic. I met this one and she's all about romance. I'm trying my best, but yeah. We come from different backgrounds, different culture. But surprisingly, it didn't add any difficulty. I think her mom was very, very advanced to her time.
And that because I'm not cultural.
I was born in Tanzania, but I was adopted by a South African who married my mom when I was young, and we came to South Africa.
I'm a feminist. So in terms of lobola, I wanted him to be my equal. So I didn't believe in part of that. And my mom also, being an African woman, a black woman in society, she had difficulties growing up, especially seeing how men can dominate in your household because of certain beliefs and cultures, that it's not for us. When I said, hey mom, I don't want to participate in this and this, and for her to accept it, she said, I hear you and it's okay, and I can see that you're very happy.
They were happy to have someone different. It was quite shocking.
Yeah.
We didn't even realize, but then after being there after 1 year or 2 years, seeing other experiences, other people, like maybe people are racist, and suddenly ours is like the opposite. Everyone is welcoming, they appreciate someone different.
Yes.
We spend so much time in Spain, in the Basque Country, with our family and friends. That's why we keep going.
I feel like I'm one of them.
Always respected.
Yeah.
Even your dad coming from the exile.
From exile. We never thought of it until some days when we sat and we're like, hey, he accepts him because he's from the struggle, and that was shocking for us. Oh, when planning our wedding, we didn't have any culture clashes because we went to the Home Affairs to sign. I was at work and he was at work, and then I asked one of my work colleagues to come with me to Home Affairs. We went there, we signed, but the signing thing was difficult at the beginning because at first they looked at him and they were like, oh, you're a foreigner. But then they redirected from him to me. My dad, on my birth certificate, it says Stephen Buswe, who is a Tswana man in South Africa. They looked at me, I had to prove my citizenship rather than him. So he was more like, oh, and it was all on me.
But then we had to do an exam as well in Home Affairs to see if we spend time together.
It worked out in the end.
That's an issue when you are foreigners and your kids here, and then...
Finally, we got everything. Our kids are Spanish citizens living in South Africa, and in South Africa they have double passports. For me, I never got a backlash. Mostly I got like, wow, yo, kumnandi ne? Yeah, if I go to the mall and I'm with him, like, oh, can you get me one of those? As if you get them from the supermarket. Those are the comments that I get.
We never got any
surprisingly
bad comments, even in Spain.
Maybe they are gossiping about us.
And we travel to Portugal, we travel to different places, but never. I can't remember a situation where it was awkward.
Yeah, but I do feel his whiteness when important things come, like we need to get a house. If he sets up the meeting versus if I set up the meeting, most likely they'll say, oh, we are full, or there are no houses, we'll call you. And then when he calls immediately, oh, we're even available today if you want to. When he calls the schools, it's immediately. Or when I go give birth, we almost lost our daughter when I was pregnant. And I was there waiting. As soon as he arrived, they attended to me, and this is a private hospital. So I always tell him, when I'm giving birth to the kids, you need to be there. You need to ask the doctors questions, because that's my biggest fear, because I know a lot of Black women face this reality where they might not come out through labor because they feel that we can endure pain much, much more than the other. I don't speak Spanish, but I do understand it. And I know some words. Mi amor, habla
Romantic.
español. Cariño, un poquito.
Un poquito.
And then he also speaks Basque. They switch from Basque to Spanish, which makes it much harder.
Yeah.
But the kids do speak Spanish.
But then they get there and the kids are speaking Basque. And my kid is like, I know so many languages, but still...
I need to learn another one.
Tswana, Zulu.
No.
I'm so bad for the languages. Even when I came here, struggling too so long. Now I speak English quite properly.
Twice I've heard my daughter coming home and saying someone said, "You are brown."
But luckily she's in the French school, so most of the kids are like her. Where we are from, there's so much immigration now. So there's so many black kids
In the
at the moment in the schools, in the bus, the great
and that was also one of my biggest things, to raise my kids in South Africa. And I didn't want my kids to start feeling insecure about themselves. And it was very important for them to be in South Africa where they can see different shades of brown or black or white, and so that they can feel more normal. The least favorite part about his white side, being serious about serious things. Because like I said, I'm nonchalant, like, hey, that also comes with the negative, because then if you have to do paperwork and you're like, I'll do it in the last minute, they must be done, they must be punctual. And what I don't like is the panic. Sometimes I feel like I might turn into ukere. I'm just, cruising through life. And then he's like, this needs to get fixed.
On the black side, that is the vibe. Even when you go to supermarkets or everything, you see black people are like happier. They go through so many struggles, so many issues, but they're still happy.
The biggest culture shock is the amount of present dads. I had a dad, but most of my friends never had dads in their lives. And then when I went that side, I realized that it's a norm. What we face, it's not a norm. What was your culture shock?
People love to show. And then suddenly you see, I don't know how many Mercedes.
People prioritize cars more than
and showing, even clothes.
What I would say to someone who's in an interracial relationship or who has doubts, it's a normal relationship like any other relationship. It's got problems like any other relationship. It's all about the person, the personality, the person's ethics and morals more than the race.
Different cultures most of the time adds difficulties because you inherit different point of views. To focus on the person. If the person is good, he's got good values, then it should be fine.
Banat and Palesa discovered the importance of focusing on the person, not their differences. For Hope, loving Josh in a foreign country required unlearning old ways and growing together.
I'm from the States, and now I'm in South Africa.
Yes, and I am originally from Limpopo, Rwanda, and now I live in Pretoria with this man.
I haven't always dated outside of my race and culture, but I have before.
Have you dated out of your race before?
Yes. So I have dated outside of my culture before, but never outside of my race.
Yeah. I have never dated out of my race. I have dated out of my culture before. So I have dated non-South Africans before, but black, non-South Africans, black South Africans. This is my first outside of my race relationship.
So I was rock climbing around the area she was going to school in, and we just happened to meet that way.
I gotta say that we met in the States.
Yeah, we met.
Yeah, we didn't meet here. Right. The biggest misconception about us is that we are like a leisure couple, that we don't work, that we're just always having fun and we're always traveling, but we actually do have jobs.
Yeah, we both have jobs.
I think the biggest challenge that we've had to face as a couple is just being an intercultural, and because we're not just interracial, we're also from two totally different countries. So we have had to just be open-minded because there's just so many differences in terms of how we do things as people. So I would say that's the biggest thing that we've had to actually go through, I guess.
Yeah, I would echo that there's just been cultural norms that have been different for both of us, and we just have to be really malleable and be able to move towards each other. I just have a typical American family, and that can be jarring for someone who's not used to it.
Yeah.
So I think, it's like getting used to the basic aspects of each other's lives.
Yeah, and I would also just say gender roles are different, because in my African culture, rather as a vendor person, I am expected to almost like take care of my husband and do all these things. And with him also stepping in and doing some things for me, I can see sometimes that even for my family members, it's just like, oh. So I would think that's one thing that is just very, very different.
Yeah, like I like to do all the cooking.
Yeah.
I was a cook in a past life, so I've done that professionally before. So I'd rather the kitchen be mine.
100%.
I think like for her mom, that was like a little unusual at first.
Yeah. And then I feel that as well from my part, because I'm like, oh, am I doing enough? Because I know what I'm supposed to do, but he's like, no, it's okay, I can take care of this. But as a person, I'm just like, I don't know if this is okay. Even though I know it is with him.
Right.
I never want to cook, by the way. But I'm glad he's a great cook.
Works out perfect.
Yeah.
For me, introducing her to my family and friends was almost entirely forced. We went to go visit my mom a week before COVID started, and we ended up staying there for 1.5 years. We had to decide like merging our lives here because we like moved in together after dating for 4.5 months.
Yeah.
And we ended up living at my mom's house. Hope left, essentially. Her time in the States had come up. She had to come back and serve 2 years here in South Africa as a part of her scholarship. And I kind of knew that was always going to be a possibility. So I'd been preparing myself for a long time. So I was pretty ready to do it. And it's been great ever since I've been here. You know, there's been some culture shocks, but I knew it was going to be different, you know, so I was pretty ready for everything. But it's been great.
He only met my family about 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Because we were in the States the whole time. So he met them through video, but you know, that's not really like meeting your family. But when he came, they already knew him. We had a whole life together by then. So it was pretty easy because they kind of knew him when they met him.
Yeah. And then I moved right in. I stayed with them for 3 months in Venda when I first moved here.
Yeah.
So I moved in with their family. So
we like moving in.
We've all lived with each other's families. And I almost think going to Venda right away was nice because it was so different that like I just had to like take everything in.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't like going to Pretoria where it's very similar but it's a little bit different. So this was like starting fresh almost. So it was a good experience. I do know a little bit of Chivenda now. I know how to greet and say nda. I know Mashaloni, Masiari, Medikwana, Avuti. I know a little, like basic words. Breakup was all a big misunderstanding.
No. We broke up. I felt like he was not prioritizing me. I felt like he wasn't prioritizing our relationship, and he was prioritizing his friends. I wasn't secure enough in the relationship to know for sure. Like if it was to happen now, I'd be like, okay. But I feel like when you're still fresh, everything matters. And when I felt like he was picking his friends over me, I thought to myself, listen, we're not gonna do this. So I'm just gonna break up with this man. It was heartbreaking, but that's why.
It was exactly what we needed though, because everything she just said is 100% true. I was like laser focused in on the sport I was doing. I had all my friends coming. And someone showed up when I made plans with her and they took priority. So having the breakup kind of said, I either had to be like, I'm going to take this seriously or take this seriously. And now here I am. So we know which one I picked.
So after 3 days, we started talking and he was very apologetic. And he told me, listen, I love you. You're very special to me. Just tell me what I need to do. And yeah, we were back together after 3 days.
Yeah. And for those 3 days, not a friend, not a rock climber. I was by myself in the woods thinking about my mistakes. So it was easy to take the time to focus on it.
He did good though.
Yeah.
My older sister was the first person I told about Josh. And she was very skeptical. So it was more concern that I was in a foreign country, and yeah, it wasn't like, oh, I'm so excited you're dating, because I was so far away. So that was the first reaction. She loves him now though.
Didn't she tell you to watch the movie Get Out?
No, I thought you were not telling people that. This is about us, not my sister, but she did say like, watch the movie Get Out.
Proposal for me was a long time in planning. I knew I was going to do it right after she graduated, before she went back to South Africa. And Hope is a perfectionist, I've learned over the years. She's not going to make any decision lightly, especially not
one as serious as getting married.
Yeah.
So when I was on one knee and she was saying no, 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 I kind of had a feeling that we were going to get through it and she was going to change. It did seem like surprise no, and not like, how dare you no.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a lot of no's, but they were quick and I knew it was going to come around. So I just kind of stayed there and stayed positive. And
Try to convince me.
And I got the yes.
The reason why I said no when he proposed was because I was just afraid of being married. I mean, I was so scared of being married. And I'm happy I said yes.
Yeah.
He's the best. It was never against him, you know. When I said no, I think it was, as I said, just within me. But if I could marry anybody, Josh would be the person. And yeah.
I think you were genuinely shocked. She had no idea it was coming, you know, and I thought by this time that I had spoiled it 5 times, you know, but I don't think you had any idea.
Yeah.
And it was a surprise. Yes, I will pay Lobola for hope. She told me about Lobola on our very first date. So I knew going into it that it was coming. After 6 months of dating, I was like, I better start putting money away, or, you know, so I was ready. Yeah.
You gotta tell them.
I think my biggest shock about her culture was just like how much culture there was going on. You know, the Lobola process, just everything that they do, like the way they described it to me for years before we ever did it is exactly how it played out. It's just very strict, you know, not in like a negative way, but they like adhere, they do all the things. And even though I'm not from the culture, they did it all with me.
And my biggest shock about his culture, this is kind of crazy because it's almost the same thing. It's just how laid back they are, because I'd ask him like, how do you guys do this? And he was like, whatever we want to do.
I don't know, just that we really enjoy all the attention we get from doing all this. For me, especially being in another country, it's made it a lot easier on me doing the social media and stuff like this, because especially when I was like standing out in Venda, I was like, well, maybe they just recognize me from TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, and that's happened pretty often, you know, so it's made this whole change a lot easier for me. I really like talking to people and, you know, talking about what we do. It's fun to tell our story.
Yeah.
Basically just that we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
And I'm just so proud of like being a South African and being associated with South Africans, because I feel like they just have so much love. I mean, the love we receive from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, it's crazy. I'm so proud that I'm part of that community, that I'm South African. I'm always like, oh my God, South Africans are so happy.
Right.
And it makes me proud because bringing him here, I'm almost like responsible for him in a way. Not really responsible for him, but you know, I do feel responsible partially because I took this man from his home country and brought him here. So just having a whole community just embrace him and show him love and show us love just makes me feel so proud and so happy. So thank you, South Africans, and everybody who watches briefly and watches us.
Yeah.
So yeah.